Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my life.
Why is it that some Christians are set free from besetting sins and others try but remain mudbound? They want to overcome their anxieties. They want to get along better with their children. They want to lose weight. But some do, and some just keep failing. My dear friend Leslie Vernick was here last summer, and she is an author and a counselor and a very wise woman, and she said that when she studied counseling, they always taught them to address the heart idols so that people could get set free. And I said, but even when you do that, Leslie, isn't it true that some are set free and some are not? She said, yes. I said, I know this is true because like last January on my Bible study blog, I had a Bible study on keeping our New Year's resolutions. And I had the biggest sign-up I'd ever had. And everybody wanted to lose weight. But by the middle of January, most of them were gone. So why is it? Why is it that some are mudbound and some get free? And out of the overflow of her mouth, Leslie quoted A.W. Tozer. She said, true spirituality manifests itself in certain dominant desires. These ever-present, deep-seated wants are sufficiently powerful to motivate and control a life. I said, what are those desires, Leslie? She said they want intimacy with God. They want to experience God. They want to love Him and serve Him and glorify Him. They don't just want what He can give them. Often we say we love God, but what we really love are His gifts, His blessings. We are not in this marriage for better or for worse. What He wants is for us to love Him for Him and not for what He can do for us. Do you remember the question He asked Peter 3 times after the resurrection? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Always reminds me of Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof, when after 25 years he wonders if Goldie loves him. And he says, Goldie, do you love me? She says, well, I wash your shirts and I make your meals. And he says, but do you love me? You know, that is what Jesus asks of us. Do you love me for me or just what I can give you? It is so easy to love Him for His gifts. For His gifts are wonderful. Just look at this creation. The whole world, the psalmist says, is filled with the glory of God. This is my granddaughter, overwhelmed with the sunset up here. And if creation leads us to worship God, it's wonderful. But if we worship the created thing instead of the Creator, it becomes an idol. And Romans 1 says that is our tendency, to worship the created thing instead of the Creator. We worship the gifts instead of the giver. But as beautiful as the created thing may be, whether it's creation, the beauty of the earth, the beauty of the skies, whether it's our children. These are my 4 granddaughters that were all born in one summer, and I'm very tempted to worship them. Whether it is the beauty of marriage, these are gifts, but they were never, ever, ever intended to be God. Nothing and no one that God created can rescue us and can satisfy our soul hunger. Instead, by making it a God, we become slaves. We become addicts. We become idolaters. And it will take us in a downward spiral. Romans 1 is a key chapter about idolatry, about how we tend to believe a lie and worship the created thing instead of the Creator. Romans 1:25 says they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is to be forever praised. Amen. Now, the illustration that is given in Romans 1 is the practice of homosexuality. And the way I used to view that chapter is, oh, this is about those who practice homosexuality, so it's not about me. I was being lied to. Homosexuality is just the illustration. The core is that we all tend to worship what He created instead of the Creator. And there's always a lie involved. Think about it. With racism, there is a lie involved. I am better than this race. With gluttony, there's a lie involved. This will help me with my stress, instead of the truth is it will increase your stress. There is a lie with sexual immorality. There is a lie with unforgiveness. Believing the lie in each case can take us into a downward spiral. Take, for example, the story of John Newton. You know him. He wrote Amazing Grace. But it took him decades, though he was a believer, to wake up to the lie he was believing, that the Africans he was kidnapping and stacking like bags of grain on his ship were not really people. John Newton even prayed to God to help him find Africans to kidnap. And he wrote a letter to his wife Polly when he was on the slave ship. And he said, I feel like Noah, cooped up with so many unclean creatures, but in a smaller space. That lie took him in a downward spiral. Thank God Jesus Christ rescued him and opened his eyes to his idol lies, because it has made a huge difference in our world. Romans 1 isn't just about the practice of homosexuality. It's about any lie that leads us into sin and into a downward spiral, because the more we give in to sin, the more it grasps us tighter and tighter and tighter. I want you to hear a testimony from another woman in my group named Rebecca, and the lie that she believed, but then how Jesus set her free from her idol lie.
I was missing intimacy with God, but I didn't know what my problem was. So I heard about Dee's online study, and I went there, and I saw that she was doing a study on idolatry, and I thought, wow, this is going to be easy, because isn't idolatry, worshiping statues? Maybe in our culture today it's playing tennis. I just didn't think I had a problem with that. I thought my problem was stress. I have 4 boys, 2 on the autism spectrum, and a husband who works 80 hours a week so that I can stay home with the boys. I was under a lot of stress, and over time it just felt like I was drowning under the weight of it all. So what I would do is I'd turn to food. After I put the boys down for bed, I'd grab a piece of pie and a big glass of milk. I'd go to my room, turn on the news, eat my pie, and boy, it brought temporary satisfaction from the stress. And but soon that wasn't working, so I had to have 2. And so I grabbed 2, and then 3. Nothing was really satisfying me. My weight ballooned. I was getting depressed, and I realized this isn't going to bring satisfaction. This is destroying me. The turning point for me was when Dee admitted in our idolatry study that she struggled with idolatry, and that hers was control, and that was huge for me. I thought, wow, if she has a problem with idolatry, well, maybe I do. So after a while, I identified I had a problem with comfort idol, and that I was running to food for satisfaction and comfort and alleviation from this stress and pain rather than running to God. And while that was huge for me, and it was great because half the battle had been won, basically just knowing what it was, I was scared. I was afraid that I would just be left to sit in my pain? You know, would God let me sit in my pain? Dee took us through a passage in Hosea where I learned how idolatry just really grieves God. It grieves his heart. And I learned that I was being unfaithful to him. And while it grieved his heart, at the same time, I also learned how deep his love was for me. And I realized, you know, I couldn't just stop running to my idol, but I needed to run to him. So what I did was I made a decision. I'm not going to eat this pie at night. I am going to pick up a book, a spiritually edifying book, which is what I did. I picked up A.W. Tozer's The Pursuit of God, and then I also read Dee Brestin's The God of All Comfort. I specifically picked books where the theme was intimacy with God. And I also got into the Word. I'd get up every morning between 4:30 and 5 and go online and get on Dee's Bible study every morning. It wasn't a quick fix, but God came to me slowly. It was like a stream. He began the process of restoring our intimacy, and I began to sense his presence. I felt his peace, his joy in the midst of the craziness in my life. And he was like a salve to my pain. And I learned that I could trust him with my pain. The cool thing about it, though, is that even though God hasn't fixed my circumstances, I still have 4 boys, 2 on the autism spectrum, and a husband who works 80 hours a week. He has given me his joy and his peace in the midst. So he's changed me, even though he hasn't fixed my circumstances. He's restored our intimacy. Intimacy with God is like a stream, and I hate it when the rocks get in the way.